Okay, so today we are bringing back Tough Table podcast, and I started to think about who I wanted to talk to first and who I wanted to break back into, this avenue in terms of podcasting. And the number one person on my list was my guest today, Jamaal Williams. He is a two-time Yorton Cup Classic Physique champion, but I want him to get into some details about himself because, as you'll know, and as you'll start to know, we have both been in the industry for a while, but we were in two different lanes, two different paths, and it wasn't until about recently that our paths started to cross. So Jamaal is obviously very popular. I'm like, an acquired taste. But for any of the people that on my end who don't know Jamaal, I'd like Jamaal to give a brief introduction. Tell us a little about yourself, and then we'll get into everything.
Yeah, as you stated, my name is Jamal Williams. I go by Carolina Muscle. Born and raised in North Carolina, a small military town called Jacksonville. Um, man, I'm an Army vet. Went to college, played football. I was an all-state track runner in high school. I started this bodybuilding journey. My first show was in 2016. I got stationed in Savannah, and someone approached me and asked me, "Have I ever done a bodybuilding show?" I was like, "What is that?" I didn't know what bodybuilding was at that
Mhm.
point. I'm like, "What is that?" They're like, "Well, I can hook you up with my coach. I think you'll be pretty good at it." And everything took off from there. And that's one thing people don't know. Like, I've been bodybuilding for 10 years now. The pop that I had came in 2022 when I ran the tables in the
Right, what just
OCB. So
happened?
that's when people first seen me or noticed me. But I was bodybuilding 4 or 5 years before that.
Now, when you started, though, right? There was I remember the pictures. What division did you start in?
And I started bodybuilding, men's physique, and then I went to classic.
Gotcha. Yes, I remember the picture in the shorts. So you start. Okay, so you started in you said in 16.
Yeah, 2016 was my very first show, and that was with um WNBF, but it was their amateur league INBF.
Yeah, the INBF.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yep. Yeah, they just recently just condensed that into one, but it used to be INBF was the amateur part and WNBF
Yeah.
was the pro. So okay, so I didn't know that. So one of your first shows was INBF, and that was
hmm
down here, right?
Yeah, it was in Savannah, Georgia. It was called the Iron Eagle, and Rodney Hilaire, he was a
Yeah.
a big figure with the WNBF. He used to promote that show.
Gotcha. All right, so 2016 you get started, right? You get going, you start getting some momentum. Let's talk about some of those major milestones you had. What do you consider,
Man, to be
those?
honest,
Yeah.
from 2016, I say up into 2021, I didn't take bodybuilding seriously. Like, I didn't
Hmm.
know my potential. I was just doing it because I was in the army. I was already in shape, so it was just something I was doing. Um, I've been in weight room since my freshman year in high school. So what? That was 2004. I actually started lifting weights.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I started freshman year too, yeah.
yeah, so that's when I started lifting weights. So I've been under a bar for a very long time. But I say my some of my major milestones, while bodybuilding was when I got my first pro win. Obviously, when I got my pro card, I think that's a milestone. And we can, fast forward to when I won the Yorton. So I think those are all major milestones that I hit while competing.
Yeah, you obviously made it to the top. You won it twice. You know, it's it's a weird mindset, right? So the first you get into it, you don't really know what you're getting into, right? You get a taste of it. You get that pro card, and it's such a high. It's you feel invincible, and then once the dust settles, now it's like, oh, okay, well now I got to compete as a pro. So I feel sometimes, I don't know, it's just my personality. Some of the stuff gets short lived, and then you get to the pros, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna do my first pro show. Once you get the taste of that win, now it's like, well, what's next? And, so sometimes I feel like in people's careers, although the accolades may be bigger later on, I feel like sometimes there's more joy in some of those earlier ones. There's less pressure, there's less outside forces working on you. It's just you're in there, you're having fun, you win a pro card, you're happy as a pig in shit, and good to go. But from there, especially someone of your status on social media, you have people who I'm sure love you, and there's people who just want you to fail, which is something that I can totally relate to. When you're doing great, people don't say a word. You slip, you trip, you stumble, and it's like that's all everyone ever focuses on. And I know that especially for you, as you started to advance in your career, did you feel that those pressures started to add up? Did you start to feel that maybe, I'm not saying the love for the sport was gone, but did you start to feel a little more jaded as your career started to go on?
No, absolutely. And just to rewind, my first pro show was with the NGA for Classic, and I placed dead last.
Gotcha.
It was four of us. I placed fourth, and that's what got the dog in me. I'm like,
Yep.
because I'm looking at them, and mind you, I don't know anything about politics or anything at that point in time in bodybuilding. And I'm looking, I'm like, this ain't right. So
Yeah.
that's when my work ethic start kicking in and that dog start kicking. I'm like, I never want to experience this again. But to fast forward to what you said, there's a saying: people want to see you do good, but not better than them.
Oh
And to
yeah.
me, that's very true. When I started out, I had a whole bunch of support. Everybody was cheering me on or whatever. Went on, won my first Jordan Cup. Everything was good. Came back again and did it the following year. Everything was good. And then, as you know, in 2024, I placed fourth at the Jordan that year. And
Yeah.
everybody was extremely happy. And
Hmm.
that's when my eyes got real wide. I'm like, okay, so y'all was just here for the ride. While I was doing good, y'all was with me. But now that I done fell off the wagon, I see your true colors now. You just hop to the next person that won or whatever. So that's one thing that really opened my eyes in this sport for sure.
Yeah. And to make a like a correlation with me with coaching, because I mean, in terms of bodybuilding, my career was short. I'm obviously very tall. I'm 6'2". I have orangutan arms. My arms are extremely long. Not the best for bodybuilding. I tried really hard. I came in super shredded, missed the pro card by one placing each time. Um, you know, I always said if I could play defense, I'd be a world champion. If it was my mentality and I could force my will on something, I'd be winning. But this sport it pushed me into the realm of coaching. It's like if I can't be Michael Jordan, I'm going to be Phil Jackson, and that was the whole thing. And back to your point about how people's mindsets change and how people start to act different. When I came in, there was a lot of people who were supportive of me, coaches, they love me. Oh, this young kid, he's a breath of fresh air. He's so blah blah blah. And then I started winning, and once I started winning and picking up that momentum, and people started talking about that, and once they started to see that, my marketing, my advertising approaches are like far out there and very different from what everyone else was doing, then all of a sudden this started happening. A lot of shit was starting to be talked behind my back. A lot of the people who used to, talk to me at the shows were no longer talking to me. And to me, that was fine. I've always said, if you don't like me, then pay me no mind. And if it's honestly, if it's fuck me, it's fuck you harder. It's always been that way. And I've gone to battle and war over stupid things with people I grew up in the sandbox with. So the people I meet here, it ain't nothing. The thing is, people started to think that I had changed. And I had never changed. I knew from day one I wanted to be the best in whatever I do and put all this effort into. The problem was their perception of what they wanted of me changed. They wanted, like you said, they everyone wants you to do good until you start doing better. And that's
Mhm.
when my eyes started to open up a lot. I was very selective with who I even talked to. And then, you get the reputation for, oh, he comes to the shows, he doesn't talk to anyone, he doesn't associate when he's kind of a dick. It's like, listen, listen, you guys all. I am a. I react to things. I don't wake up and say, "Oh, I just want to be a dick today," or this and that. One, I have to go there and I have to focus and I have to perform as a coach and have everyone's stuff done and laid out. And I have to, you go to a show and you got 6, 7, 8, 12, 15 people, and they're all contenders. You can't miss. You can't miss because if you miss, then you hear about it. So I'm focused on that. And why am I going to talk to people that are talking bad about me? I'm not, I don't play like that. I'm not going to pretend. If you don't like me, then I don't need to talk to you. You don't need to talk to me. And then it's, oh, he doesn't talk to anybody. He's kind of he's kind of an asshole. That's where everything started for me to get jaded. Once you started winning, people's perceptions start to change. And then you get known for winning, and then once you don't win, it's like ha ha ha. It's like I, I don't get it. I'm always in the mix, so I don't even know who you are or what you're even talking about. I don't even know who you are.
Right.
Um, so those things in the industry have always bothered me, and that's why I feel like this sitting and talking to you, there's a lot of parallels here. I've sensed it since I started to get to know you. There's definitely a lot of parallels between like what we have, um, you know, endured, faced, and experienced. It's not the same thing, but it kind of rhymes.
Hmm.
So that's why this, I think, sitting down and talking about all this type of stuff was beneficial. Um, so with that being said, with people who do that and people who act like that, both from from in my perspective and your perspective, what are some lessons now that you have now learned that the young, naive, just getting in Jamal didn't know? Like, how do you
Uh,
how do you conduct yourself now, knowing what you know?
I'll say I'm more aware of who I give my time to. I'm more aware of who I allow access to me. Um, those are the two main things, man. As like, I'm just more aware now. You know, people will smile in your face all day long as you're
Mm,
doing what they want you to do, as long
yep,
as you're abiding by what you want them or what they want you to abide by. But as soon as you, I'm not even going to say go against the grain, but as soon as you don't agree with something that someone else agree with, you become pushed to the side in a way. So
yep.
that's the main thing that I took away from that. I just don't allow access to me like that anymore.
Which, yeah, I agree with. I've been very selective, and that's the thing. I feel like my whole kind of career did like a reset, which is hard for me. Which is hard for me mentally. So, you know, when I got in, I was younger. I started from the bottom, right? I
Hmm.
started from the bottom. No matter what I wanted to do, whatever I knew I wanted to accomplish, no matter what, I started from the bottom, and I earned my way up to what I feel is considered the top. And then you step into other roles. I
Yeah.
step into the role of promoting. I step into the role of the vice president of an organization. And it is essentially like starting over. It's very stressful. There's been a lot of positive about this, and I appreciate all the opportunities I've been given. But I am an extremely high performing individual. There's nothing that I do in my life that I really like and really motivates me and means a lot to me that I don't do at a high level. So I am used to a certain level of functioning. When you start over, and you have to go into, these other roles, it's very hard to, oh, I'm starting over, or
Yep.
maybe these people around me are not ready for me yet. And it has been it has been very, very frustrating. That's a big emotional toll. Um, so things like that, the starting over. I mean, which again, you kind of are too now, because now
Yeah.
you're getting into that coaching realm. So it's a very difficult thing to be somewhere, and then you start, especially in like the same space, to start differently, and it's a lot. It's a lot mentally, and I know you're
Yeah.
going through that as well.
Yeah, I think I needed that hard reset though. I think it came at the right time. So just to hit the reset button and just keep pushing it forward. And I'm not gonna say I'm reinventing myself because I already know who I am as a person or whatnot, but it's just being more authentic and not really caring what anyone else has to say about me. So
Which, yeah, which I mean, that's something that, like, I absolutely agree with. Like, it's just it's a lot. And,
yeah.
back to that point about limiting who has access to you and stuff like that. Um, you're going to now learn, just as I'm learning in this new reset, people are going to try to access you in other ways, and you have to determine what client is not worth it and what
Yeah.
client is, and setting up boundaries and stuff like that, which I got good with coaching, but now in this other role, it's like i feel like people I feel like people are daring me to fuck up. It's it's like I have so many different things going on, right? And I'm very organized, and I never want to miss anything. I never want to make a mistake. I never want to not respond to someone or leave someone hanging. I don't. That's
Yeah.
why there are certain channels. You know what I'm saying? If you're a promoter and you're hitting me up in the vice president role, and you're hitting me up in a text message at like 2:45 in the afternoon, dude, do you know how many fucking things I could be doing at 2:45 in the afternoon? Like, I could be literally fucking doing anything. Like, you name it, and I could be doing it. It's and it's like, send me an email. I know it's not the direct answer you're going to get, but when you send me that email, I'm not going to miss it. It's going to be taken care of. I can answer your question, like, with full amount of information. If I'm in a skid steer and I'm seeing this text, I'm not answering it because I probably don't have the information to answer it, and I put my phone away, and I may forget about it later. I won't do that later, if you go through the appropriate channel. So people will constantly start to test boundaries. They still
Hmm.
do it now, and the clients will do that as well. It's like, hey, I talk to some people on Instagram Messenger, and that's fine. Like, it's back and forth, like mindless stuff or jokes or whatever. But anything it's critical to your program, it's like, you got to do this. It's got to go through this channel, because I don't want to have to remember. When you start to get more clients, it's difficult to, like, oh, wait. I know that this was said to me, but where did that person say it? Was it on Instagram? Did they send a text? It's difficult, and really trying to manage your time is critical. And I'm learning that now. And that first year for me was rough, because, again, I come in, and I can't lay the hammer down, because it would be hypocritical for someone who's, one, never promoted a show, to start saying to people, this is what you have to do, and this is the direction we need to go in. Okay? It would be That's why I kept things very close to the chest and kept my mouth shut, because I didn't want to appear hypocritical, telling people what they've been, people have been doing this 10, 20, 30, whatever. I didn't want to start laying that type of stuff out. And I had to be a little more patient with people, and they were sucking up my time. And
Hmm.
now it's starting to change a little bit. Now it's like, okay, I've done the two shows, and I've done it at a level that I am very happy and very proud of. And now I'm going to start being a little more selective with with my time and who I let in. I'll always perform my duties as stated, okay? But I cannot just divvy out time and attention to people who maybe one don't deserve it, okay, or two are doing nothing to even earn that. I'm
Yep.
not people's secretary. I'm not. I feel like people should do a lot of stuff on their own, and when they have problems, come and ask. But when you say things like limiting people's access to you, it's just every time you say that, I'm like I'm in the same exact fucking boat right now.
Yep.
Same exact boat.
Yeah, I get it, man.
So let's shift a little bit here. I want to talk about that emotional and personal side, and that it's going to tie big into 2025 and some of you know the hardships and the shit you had to deal with, man. I give you a lot of fucking credit. I really do.
Thank you, man. I
Especially,
appreciate that.
yeah, especially knowing afterwards, I had no fucking idea. I was there too. I had no idea. So I know we had talked previously, and I know, shit was not going too well with your mom, and you were trying to make plans around, being able to take care of her. But I want you to take me through that mindset and that mentality of knowing that the end is coming, and the idea that the outside world just either one doesn't know, and a lot of them they don't even care.
Uh, just to be clear, I didn't know the end was coming because my mom was in and out of the hospital so much through my life. And like I said, in and out. She'll go for an extended period of time and she always mustered up the strength to get better and come on back home, right?
Yeah.
So just let me take you back to when I was 14 years old. That's when my mom first got sick. She had a stroke and an aneurysm when I was 14. So you're talking about a teenage kid going into high school or whatnot, good as shit at sports or whatnot, but I didn't have that, and it's no fault of her own. I didn't have my mom there through them years to come watch me run track, to come watch me play football. So you talking about at 14, that was already, just trauma building.
Yeah.
So that's when my mom first got sick. And of course, made it through high school or whatnot. Went to college, same thing, playing football. Mom never seen me score a college touchdown. She never seen me in my college uniform because she just couldn't come to the games because of her condition. Um, so after college, actually, I was in college. My grandma had passed away. So I came back home and I started working. I had to work 2 years because, I had to
Yeah.
support my mom or whatnot. And in the midst of that, that's when I joined the military. 2012 is when I joined the military. Um, I made that decision just to go join the military. But like I said, all through 14 up until last year, my mom's been sick in and out the hospital. And like I said, I thought it was just one of the regular things. She got sick. She was going in the hospital. But this time it was a little bit longer than any other time or whatnot. So I'm like, okay. So I'm making arrangements to go back and forth. I was going back and forth from Greenville, North Carolina to Savannah, Georgia, as much as I could to see my mom. And this particular time, we got a phone call. Me and my sister. I got an older sister, by the way. But
Okay.
yeah. So got the phone call. Hey, we need y'all to come here so we can have a meeting with you guys. This was the head doctor. It's like, okay, well, that's not good, right? So me and my sister go. They talk to us. It's like, yeah, this ain't looking too good. We don't know how long, but it's not looking good. So what do y'all want to do? It's like, well, ultimately, it's up to her. Go ask her because I don't know if you ever experienced this, which by God, I hope you don't. But they ask you, if she happened to go, do you want us to resuscitate and all that?
Yeah, I had it with
And
my
with her,
grandmother.
she was so fragile. There was like, if we do, there's a chance that we could crack something or whatnot. I was like, listen, my mom is in her, like, she's not out her mind, like, she's in her right mind. She can comprehend. Yeah. So they had asked me that or whatever. And as I explained, I was like, yo, you can go ask her or whatever. So they came back, told us what she said or whatever. Then the hospice talk started. Um, I hope everybody's familiar with hospice. I'm not about to get into the whole hospice thing or
Yeah.
whatever, but the hospice talk started, whatever. And it was like, do you want her to come to Georgia or do you want her to go to North Carolina? Once again, ask her where she want to go. So they went and asked her, and she wanted to go back to North Carolina to my uncle's house or whatnot. So she got there on a Tuesday, man. Got there on a Tuesday, and she didn't make it 4 days. She passed away on a Friday, and I was in Charlotte getting ready for the Yorton Cup. Um, Me and Eric is one of my close friends. Me and Eric had just came back from the gym, and I got the phone call from my uncle, and he was like, "Hey, it's not looking good. You might need to make your way back home." So immediately, I think me and Eric was about to cook breakfast. I said, "Eric, I gotta run, bro." I literally grabbed my stuff, hit the road. Probably about 2 hours into the drive because it's a 4 hour drive from Charlotte to Jacksonville. Probably 2 hours into the drive, that's when they called me back and told me she was gone.
Damn. And that was what day? That was
That was Friday, so 2 days before I was stepping on stage. I forgot exactly what day the Yorton Cup was on.
yeah, Sunday,
Um,
right? Your
yeah,
name
it
was
was on a
Sunday?
Sunday. Was it the 26th? I think, yeah, I think she passed away September 26th, if I'm not mistaken.
And you still showed up. And you had a client on Saturday, right?
Yeah, had a client on Saturday, still showed up. And at that point, bro, I think I was just on autopilot at that time. Like I wasn't ready to deal with that. And I think that was the best distraction I could have is still, competing and not wanting to think about that because if anybody knows me, they know my mom was my world, bro. Like that was my woman, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean that's when I heard the news, I'm like, this. And then on top of that, I feel like what makes that worse is, some of the, if there's criticisms or people who are just maybe talking shit in the
some of the
context of,
antics, yeah, some of the
yeah,
antics, people saying stuff when they don't know the full story of what was going on the whole entire year with me being quiet and me not speaking about certain stuff but seeing the way other people moved. I think that was like that was a blow to me, that like that really hurt me right there. People that I took up for in rooms they wasn't in, people that I consider my friend, just to see them, just see how they acted towards me in that moment. I felt betrayed, to be honest with you. I felt betrayed. Um, People looked me right in my eyes after they knew what happened and still didn't say a word to me, bro. Like that,
see,
that shit was bad.
that's the type of stuff that like sometimes I know you feel it and I feel it too, where sometimes I just look at everything and I'm like, is all this worth it?
Right.
And I feel like I'm just driven by, I like building stuff and I like trying to succeed. I like the chase. I like winning. I like the high of winning. I like, the shows and the energy now as a promoter. But sometimes I'm like, is it wow? Like going through something like that and then it's one thing if people don't know, but the people who do know to not say anything or to not kind of be there for you, especially. I mean, I don't know what what context you're talking about, if it's friends, if it's fellow competitors, if it's promoters you may have been close to. I don't know, but it's still a shitty feeling to feel like, damn, you go through something, you still show up, and then, not that everyone needs a pat on the back, but when you feel like you're giving so much to it and sometimes it's not given back, that's a shitty feeling, and I've been there.
Yeah.
My rough year was, I think it was 2021. I lose track of these years. Um, 2021 was rough for me, and no one knew. My very very close friends knew. It was a brutal year between trying to plan that move and taking all those trips and driving from New York to North Carolina. It's a big thing, but at that point in time, Shauna and I decided, we wanted to have a family, and we. I remember the first time, that she surprised me and she did a whole nice thing and involved the dogs and involved all this stuff, to say, we're gonna have a family. We're gonna, she's pregnant and you're gonna be a dad. And for me, it
Hmm.
was a big moment, obviously, but I didn't have a father. My father picked up and left when I was like 2 years old, I think. Um,
Hmm.
so to me, it was always like I wanted to be what I never had. Um, in terms of guidance, support. It's what I wanted to be able to do that. Um, so it's like it's like, wow, all these emotions and all this stuff, and then you start going for the tests and everything, and then certain tests are looking a little weird, and of course I'm very analytical, and I start diving into things, and I'm like, I'm not liking how this is tracking,
Yeah.
and sure enough, 7 weeks out, I mean 7 weeks in, 7 weeks out, 7 weeks in, miscarriage. Like my world just comes crumbling down. And on top of that, the pain of, watching her go through it
Hmm.
was like rough for me.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do anything about it. And so I still have to be Michael Jordan every day, and no one knows. And I just show up to work. I show up to the shows. I'm traveling. I'm doing all that stuff, and no one knows. It's no one's business, but still, no one
Right.
knows. And to me, it's like it's shit luck. So we'll try again. So we try again, and again, it's like, okay, let's not get too happy, but this is a good thing. We're back in the game again. And sure enough, again, set around that 5 to 7 week mark, another one. And that was it. That was bad. That was really bad. It was really bad on me mentally. It was really bad on her mentally. It was, and then you start to get bitter because you start to look at everyone else and they're having
Yeah.
kids, and I'm just like, it was a lot. It was a lot, and it's still to go to the shows and to still get pulled in 30 different directions, and still do all this stuff and still start to think about trying to move and do all this stuff. And then it's like, well, why are we going to move? Why do we need a bigger house if we can't figure this out? It was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. Um, and then I remember the day I said, "You're taking off from work. I'm not doing shit today. We're pulling out every blood work that we have, everything, both of us. And we're going to sit down at this table and we're going to find a fucking solution to this because I'm not losing.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking losing." And we did it, and we started to see some irregularities, that certain things were missed by the doctors. And I am very confident in saying that me and her, Shauna, we both found what was, I think, the issue. There were certain things with ferritin and iron levels, and long story short, we got to the bottom of it. We made changes. We made supplemental changes. We made the medication changes. We started looking into things to address on both of our ends. We learned a lot from it. We learned a lot about the pregnancy process, and then we were in the game a third time. And I'm like, this is, once you start to get to 7 weeks, we're on edge. Again, the whole
Yeah.
world is still operating, it's still moving. I still have
Hmm.
clients bother me with
Yeah.
bullshit. I still got travel, this and that. And the world for me is like, 7 weeks. Oh God. Oh God. And we get to 8 weeks, and then we start to go for things and everything's measuring right. Then it's like, oh, well, we still got to get out of the first trimester. It never ended because once it was taken away those two times, I never thought I'd get to the end. And each time it's like, oh, we cleared a hurdle. I'm happy for a day. And it's like, oh, we have another hurdle. We have
Yeah.
another hurdle. And then it just worked out. I was so happy that we made it to the end. We had Axel, but even throughout that whole process, we're traveling. She's pregnant. The travel back and forth, the stress of, I had to sell my own house. We hire a realtor. She was an absolute fucking idiot. I was doing the showings. My Shauna's out to here with her belly, okay? And my realtor is just lazy and can't do anything correctly. So she'd send people. I'm creating the documents and I'm showing my house. I'm showing my own house. And they're thinking I'm the realtor. Shauna's taking the dogs into the garage, she's pregnant.
Yeah.
So we had to sell that house. We had to, my aunt died. We had to clean her house up. I'm building a North Carolina house. Shauna's pregnant. It was really rough to like go through all that. And I know I didn't let a lot of people in. It's just it was brutal. It never ended. And
Hmm.
on top of that, it just felt like I was giving so much into the sport. And at the same time, sometimes I question what I get back. So
Right.
just a grueling, emotional, mess that I'm glad I made it out of. Glad I made
Yeah,
it out of.
absolutely.
You know,
And God bless you guys, man. And one thing I do want to say, because I don't want to sit here and not acknowledge the people that was there for me
yeah, yeah,
through
yeah.
that
Agreed.
time.
Yep,
You know
yep.
what I'm saying? So I truly appreciate all the people that was there for me during that time and the people that are still there for me that time. It's funny because you had said something when you was telling your story. It's like we sit in the shit, right? And I had to realize this is me. This is my problem. It's not nobody else's problem. So I'm expecting for certain people to show up for me and they wasn't showing up. I was like, this isn't their problem.
Yeah,
So that's when my mindset kind of shifted too. Like, Jamal, you have to sit in this. This is you. You have to take the time that you need to grieve and do whatever you need to do. And bro, to this day, I'm pretty sure you feel the same way about, the first one that y'all lost. Bro, there's not a day that goes by where I don't think about my mom or like where I'm not grieving. That shit still hurts, but I just learned to put on a different mask and go out and continue to show up for others and support others. No matter how bad I'm down, that's one thing I can do is show up for others when they need me to show up.
yeah. And I think for me, it changed. I was always very good at putting myself in other people's shoes and analyzing perspectives. I've always felt like that was one of my talents. I may not agree with someone's fucking ideas, but I really take the time to process where they got or where they're coming from. Sometimes I'm still lost where I'm like I don't even know how you got here, but I still do now I approach things now a little more with the mindset of you don't know what someone is going through. You don't know what someone may be going through. And some people, myself included, I don't like asking for help. I don't like
Right.
asking for
Same
help.
way. Same way.
I don't like asking for help. I don't want pity. Um, I'm usually the person helping people get out of messes or solve problems. Uh, and sometimes, I guess I need it. I don't know how to ask for it. Um, but I still may have had some, bad or short-tempered moments in that span. And when you look at people and what they're going through or their attitude, their mindset, it's what do you not know that they're going through? They could be dealing with something like major. You're asking them, hey, is it okay if I have this spray butter? Meanwhile, it's like, okay, your mom could be dying, your grandmother could be
Yeah.
dying. You could have just lost a pregnancy. You could have lost your job. There's a lot of stuff out there, and it started to really shape my mindset a little differently with people.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like is that I feel like, again, this has been my big problem my entire life. I always have these moments where I look inward and I'm like, how can I be better? How can I change? And how could I evolve? The
Right.
thing that's a little upsetting for me, and has been for my entire life, is why do I feel like I'm always the one doing that? Why are more people not doing that? So again, it comes into that mindset of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to put this effort in. I want to change and evolve and be better. And then you watch everyone else just actually sometimes get worse. And
Yeah.
that's when that jaded side comes back in, where it's like, fuck you. Fuck you. I have those moments where I'm like, I want peace. And then the world sometimes just reminds me that I want war. Like,
Nah,
it's,
absolutely, dude.
you know,
Yeah, and I guarantee I'm a villain in a lot of people's stories, but at the same time, I guarantee I helped a lot of them people out along the way also. And it used to be disappointing to me. It's not no more because I let the shit go. It is what it is. People are going to be who they be. When someone show you who they are, believe them the first time. Believe them.
yeah,
And that's just where I'm at with it, man. And sometimes it's not even us, bro. It's other people own insecurities that they can't get over that bothers them.
yeah.
That's Hey, humans suck, bro. Humans suck,
That's
man.
that's why that's why I try to, I'm building all these machines and fucking robots. Like, I'll stick with that stuff. But so how do we feel? How do you feel with all this that we just talked about? What do you think about the state of, you know, natural bodybuilding? You were in one avenue for a long period of time, in terms of, again, an organization. You were in the seat of being a top athlete, which you still are. But now you're seeing things from a different perspective, and each time you go into a different perspective, you start to see a different level of shit. Um,
Right.
what do you think about, what's going on with natural bodybuilding coaching culture, like this, coaching
Oh yeah,
culture.
we can get into all that, man. So for one, I don't care what organization is, ABC, one, two, three. There's good people and there's bad people in every organization.
Hmm.
There's politics in every organization. I don't
Agreed.
care. People can say there's not. Yes, there is. There's
Hmm.
politics in every organization, right? And I think the state of bodybuilding right now, it's in a good spot. More eyes are on natural bodybuilding. But as far as competitive wise, I think people are competing for the wrong reasons. I compete to be competitive. I compete to win. That's why I
Yep.
compete. That's what bodybuilding is about.
Yep.
Bodybuilding to me, and I hope no hate or slack comes my way, bodybuilding isn't a transformation showing. I think people are rushing to the stage. They want this instant success. They want all the likes and comments on Instagram. So that's why I think some people hop into bodybuilding.
Yep. And then, or also, they act like they want to be competitive, but then, they'll tiptoe around shows, or tiptoe around, like, oh, I'm not doing this show because, oh, why would I go there? That I already know someone who's going there that's going to win. Well, if everyone had that mindset, then no one's going to go to that show. You should want
Mhm.
to go up against that person. You shouldn't want an easy pro card win. You shouldn't
Yeah.
want that. it's it's like I get it. You know, people want pro cards, they want wins and stuff like that. I get it. My whole life was built on winning. But the truth is that not everyone wins. And not
Right.
everyone is meant to win. And not everyone is going to win at a certain level. Okay. And not everyone is going to win. It's all variables. What show you show up at, who shows up, what the judges are looking for. There's so much stuff in there. And it's like winning is great. Yes, I'll always promote winning. But if you're competing and you're getting better and better and better, that's what matters the most. Not you, trying to align the stars so you can pick a show that you can get some win against one other person. It's crazy. And again, like I am seeing a different type of athlete come in. When I came in into the WNBF when I was first getting in, I would go to the Hercules and the Natural Mania because they were in New York, and I'd go watch those shows. And I'd see, I'd pay attention to heavyweight bodybuilding because I was a heavyweight. And I'd watch and I'd see like 14 monsters on the stage. And I'd see one person win. And then I'd come back the next year and I basically saw like 14 or 15 people, and 13 of them were from last year. It was just they kept going, and they just all were competing against each other, and it wasn't like they were ducking each other. They were it's so weird, and different now. People are ashamed or whatever of not winning. Not everyone is meant to win, and not everyone is meant to carry the burden that they have to win. There are certain people who put themselves in that position, and most of the time it's self-inflicted. I'm sure you and
Yeah.
me, that you have to win. But that's not everyone else's story. Okay? I sit in the seat that I made. Okay?
Hmm.
So when I don't win and people talk shit, that's fine. I'm okay with that because that's what I built for me personally. That doesn't mean that everyone else's story has to be based on that. Their story should be based on accomplishing something and being better each time.
Yep.
And the state of affairs now, it's awkward now. It's weird. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm the old guy who came in. It's not the way it was when I first came in. I'm not that type of person. It's just I'm very good at seeing trends and seeing patterns, and a lot of the shit's just like kind of fucking weird now.
No, I get that. And just going back on the wins, man. Yes, like you said, everybody wants to win. But what you got to understand, us as athletes or competitors, when we do win, we get a short window to enjoy it. You get about 12 hours. You post
Yep.
your picture on your Instagram, you're going to get all the likes and the comments. Bro, the next day or that Monday, guess what? You're putting on your pants, putting on your boots, and you're going to fucking work. That
Yep.
win that you just had on Saturday don't matter to the real world. And when I say the real world, because I look at what we do in natural bodybuilding and in the real world as two different worlds. Yes, I'm the man. I'm the man in natural bodybuilding, right? I can go to my local Kroger. Ain't nobody gonna know who the hell I am. You know what I'm saying? So the wins is nice, but it's sometimes I think they can be overrated.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, level of the show and who shows up. If there's no one in the class, it's like there's a lot of stuff out there. People love to post, oh, first, it's first place or it's second place. Second place, there's two people.
Yeah,
You were second place by default. It is skewed heavily toward, um, social media. It really is.
yeah,
It really is. Everyone wants to do that type of stuff, um, and I had already seen that as a coach. Um, I'm seeing a different world now as a promoter. Seeing a very very different world there, and it has opened up some criticisms on me, and I'm aware of it. It is what it is. I get labeled as kind of cocky and arrogant, um, but here's the thing: when I came into coaching, right? When you go into coaching, and I first got in, everything's a mystery, right? Nothing's out in the open. Nothing, especially back then. You look at the coaches who are succeeding and you're like, wow, this person is a 10 out of 10. But you don't know their programming. You don't know the programs that they're built. You don't know a fucking thing about them. It's just this person's popular, this person's wins, therefore this person has to be the best. This is a 10 out of 10 here. Then, you start to realize later on, inadvertently, maybe someone leaves the team. You start to see I don't ask for people's programs. I don't need to see other people's programs. But you
Right.
hear about certain things that's like, wow, maybe that 10 really was an 8. But back to my point. My point was when I first got into coaching, I knew I was down here. I
Hmm.
knew it. And I knew I needed to gain it. I had confidence in myself that over time I would start to shine and my methods would be proven and I would be able to adapt and evolve and I'd be able to start putting some big wins on the board and also key success stories. It's not always about taking someone who's, a 9 and getting them to a 10. Sometimes there's a lot to say for taking that 4.5 and getting them to an 8. Like that's a big accomplishment there to make them even a factor in a lineup. So I knew then I needed to earn certain things. Plus, there was the mystique issue where you don't know exactly what other people are doing. So I always kind of kept my mouth shut, right? I always kept my mouth shut. I was very confident what I did, but I didn't really lob any criticisms. The promoting thing, the promoting thing is different. The reason why I feel that I can come out and make certain criticisms and I could be very vocal about certain things and maybe certain people and certain approaches is because it's all public knowledge. I'm a
Right.
coach. I've sent athletes to these shows. I know the communication. I know the order of events. I know the posters. I know the media. I know the marketing. I've been at the shows. I've fallen asleep at the shows. I've been there. There's nothing that's hidden. So certain people, okay, like to sit and talk about their experience, okay, and blah, 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 blah. Been doing this 10, 20, 30 years. And when you say something like that to me, it's not the flex that they think it is. Because a lot of these people will sit there and say, "Oh, he's new, he's blah blah blah, I've been doing this for so long." Okay. So my thing is you've been doing it for 20, 30 years. I was able to do everything that you do and probably better in one. There are things that everything, my argument is that everything that these other promoters who have lobbed like criticisms my way is I can do everything that you can do and probably better, but there are a lot of things that I can do that would take you 4 lifetimes to do. So that's where that attitude comes in. The attitude
Hmm.
comes in because it's not blind. It's not blind narcissism. It's not blind overconfidence. I already know. I made myself into the promoter that wouldn't annoy Ryan Sullivan, the coach. I made mental notes of everything that annoyed me over my entire career. And that is what I based being a promoter off of. Don't annoy the coach, Ryan Sullivan, who recognizes and notices absolutely everything, almost like it's a disease. All I can do and all I can say at this point is that anything I've said I would do, I've done, I execute, and I am doing absolutely everything I can. And I love this, and I love the promoting, and I love the shows. And I know we talked about this personally. It really started to open up a lot of creative avenues that I felt like I couldn't do with the team. I got very creative with videos and marketing it to the shows and tying it back into that reality. And that became like it gave me a lot of joy. It gives me a lot of joy, but it also gives me a lot of fear because I like doing it so much that I'm scared, especially with everything I'm putting in. I get scared that if this doesn't work out, I lose this avenue of creativity that my brain needs to burn it off. Everyone thinks I'm
Mm.
just like this analytical machine fucking reptile that everything is just numbers and blah, blah, blah. But I there's another half of me that is extremely creative that just needs to air it out. And I never really had that avenue, and now I have it. So I get very defensive, and I get very, drawn into to things because this means a lot to me, and I will defend what I have at any cost against anybody. Do you feel like you're going to track in that type of direction where, you're going to start to take things a little more personal, a little, because listen, at the end of the day, the pie is only so big. So, there's only, with coaching, it's a little easier because you have lifestyle clients too.
Right.
So that helps out. With the promoting, there's only X amount of people who could do X amount of shows and have, X amount of dollars in the budget. But do you feel like you're going to end up on a similar trajectory, or are you going to be more positive and a better person than me?
I think I'll be more positive and a better person than you. Nah, like seriously, everything and everyone has an expiration date, right? Um, and this year I decided to take off. I'm not competing this year. I want to focus all my attention on this coaching and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I want to do this year. Next year, you never know. I may come out guns a blazing and belt the ass, stepping on people's stages once again because I'll be in the right mindset. My body had a whole year to rest and do what it does, and I can run a gauntlet next year if I choose to. So, um, you never know what may happen or what can happen. But as of right now, I do enjoy taking a step back from the stage and watching other people compete and working with my clients and getting them to the goal, getting them on stage, and let it all play out.
You're dodging me. You're
I didn't
dodging me.
dodge you. I
You're
didn't
dodging
dodge
me.
you.
What I'm saying is the dog that got brought out as a competitor, is it inevitable that it gets brought out as a coach? Right now,
Of
you're
course. Of
smiling, you're
course.
happy, everything's fun. But when you start to pick up momentum and you start to put more effort into it and you start to really love and enjoy the feeling of what you're doing, and then there's the idea that, oh, well, I could lose this. Once it gains value, and then you see, oh, another coach that you think, they got the win over you, or they're the hot ticket this month. Is it inevitable that the dog comes out? Because
It,
I came into promoting like I'm just gonna be happy. I'm happy to be here. And now, in 1 year, I'm a vicious animal. Because by
no,
nature I am.
right. And yeah, it'll probably come out. But the thing about it is, I'll be a smarter dog because I know the game. I know how some of this stuff goes. I know there's clicks in certain organizations. Like I know all this stuff. So the dog will come out, but I will be able to tame that dog better than what I've been able to tame it as me, the competitor, the athlete.
So I gotta do better at taming myself. It's rough, bro.
Oh
It's rough.
man.
It's rough when you got a lot of things coming at you from a lot of different angles. Again, some people act like your friend. They act like they're happy for you, and then you find out they're the ones throwing roadblocks up for you, or
Yeah.
some people did not think I'd come in and come out as heavy as I did with promoting. It's like, oh, good little chap, good boy, good boy. And then once they start seeing, and they're like, oh, okay, now we can't really associate with this person because of this. When you start to like put that effort in, and you start to see the value, and you start to see that you really like it, it's worth defending. That's when it gets tricky. I had a big issue last year with a certain organization putting a show on the same date as Monster Mash. And dude, I was posting memes, reels, everything, like doing all, and everyone's like, damn, you're going hard. It's like, you know what? I have to go hard. I want people to know
Yeah.
that if you put, again, in my geographic location, obviously if there's a show in California on the same date as mine, it's not a big deal. But if you put a show on my date in my geographic location, I'm not going to be like, oh, it's okay, I understand. No, 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 no. No, no. Because now you're potentially hurting me. You're potentially hurting all the effort that I put into my shows. And I want you to know I don't care who you are. I don't care what organization you are. I don't care what your name is. I don't care. I never have and I never will. You show that disrespect, even if it's inadvertent. Oh, the venue changed. Listen, man, I can't turn it off. If I couldn't turn it off when I was younger with my best friends that I grew up in the sandbox with, do you think I'm going to be able to turn it off at you? It is a defect. I can't turn. I'll always escalate. I can't turn it off. It becomes rough, and you start to in your instance, you may lose a client to another coach. The first time that happens, it's like it's going to weigh on you, and you're going to stir on it.
It's
Um,
not though. It's not because I know how some of these athletes are.
I
Like I know
yeah,
how the game
I know who
goes
they are.
when it comes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it will because everybody think the grass is greener on the other side because this coach got a team of 100 people and they take 30 people to a show and out of them 30 people 10 people win. They see that. But you didn't
Yeah,
see what the other 20 didn't do. They didn't win, but you see the
yeah.
10 that won. So I just know how the game goes when it comes to this coaching stuff. So I don't, as long as I know I'm doing everything possible I can and I'm extending that knowledge, I think I'll be fine. If I fell short, then I'll probably like, damn, I could have done something differently. That's when
And
it would probably affect me.
yeah. And when you do fall short, my advice to you is just honesty is the best policy. I've missed some calls. I've made some some moves that maybe weren't beneficial. And when you're direct with the client and you just say like, "Hey, called the wrong play here,"
Yeah.
those are the people who I feel like have stayed with me longer, um, just because of that honesty.
Yep.
But there are going to be those people who you feel like you put a lot of effort into. This is why when I talk about that creative stuff and I talk about how the shows mean so much to me, this creativity was always there. And I started to try to do it with the team. But the problem is with the team, you dump so much creative energy into creating like these characters that are fucking larger than life and these graphics and all this stuff. They could be champions. And the minute they don't win or the minute that they take second place, they either retire or they go somewhere else. Now you're stuck with all this content, and it's like, damn, I put a lot of effort into this one person's persona, and now they're gone and they're on another team. I can't repost this because it's like weird. That
Yeah.
kind of put me in that creative box. Now with the shows, I'm like, oh, I can do all sorts of cool shit. I can do all sorts of cool shit. I could bring out the mask and do all that stuff and really think outside the box and have that bring that like Bray Wyatt Undertaker feel
Yeah.
grounded in realism and always returns back to the shows. That's kind of what I wanted to do from day one, and I'm extremely grateful that I get to. It's just now I'm gonna defend it at all costs. It's my digital baby, and I don't want it taken from me.
Yeah. And just back to the culture thing. I think the thing that do bother me is when you get someone from point A to point B and they have no experience in the game, but you get them from looking like this to looking like this, stepping on stage, finish top three or whatever, and then they say, "Hey, thank you for your help." The next week, you see them coaching someone.
Yeah.
That's the thing that gets me. Or when someone comes to you and they don't even get to point B, they quit. But then next week, you see them coaching someone. That's that
It
one right
happens.
there grind
Happens a
my
lot.
freaking gears, man.
It happens a lot. It 100% happens. It happens a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, you see it right in the bio. For
Yep.
coaching, send me a DM. Um,
Yeah.
so why are we both polarizing figures? Would you consider yourself a polarizing figure?
Uh, I'm just who I am, man. I think the man upstairs had a direct purpose for me, and he blew me one way, and I did what I could. I know I made an impact. And I'm not gonna sit here and try to sound cocky or anything, but I know in this space, I changed the game of classic physique.
Yes,
I
sir.
did.
When I
And
want
people,
when I wanted criteria for CCN, who did I call?
yeah, yep, me. So, um, I did what I set out to do, man. I think I impacted. I still influence people to this day. I was just at a show over the weekend, and I don't when I'm at these shows meeting people, I never once say my accolades. I don't even say I'm a two-time. I don't say anything, bro. I just greet people with a smile. I talk to them, laugh with them, get the nerves out their system, and I go on about my way, bro. And later they might figure out who I was. You know what I'm saying? But I don't. I never leave with that. Never ever. I just want them to see me as the person I am, standing in front of them, talking to them, and caring about their journey, what led them to the stage. And that's all I want to do, man. These, bro, all this at the end of the day, when I'm 6 feet under, that shit ain't gonna matter. I want people to remember me as the good person I was. That's it.
Me, I do feel like I am a good person. Most people are going to say that that's crazy, but I really do take care of the people close to me. I feel like
Right.
I'm very loyal. I take care of the people who are close to me. I take care of people who took care of me.
Yep.
For my first show, I'll never forget that entire show or that entire lineup because that was my first time in switching to a new organization, first timer, and those people said, "You know what? I'm betting on Ryan." And I'll never forget those people, regardless of wherever they end up. So I feel like I am very loyal. I am very direct, though. I'm very
Yeah.
direct. I say what's on my mind. I mean what I say. I don't candy coat things. You always know where I'm coming from. Um, but I do take care of people. I do take care of people who are close to me. I do take care of people who take care of me and are nice to me. I'm never going to be a dick to someone who has not been to me. If someone's nice to me, I'm not gonna be a dick to them. I love my friends. I love my family. Love my dogs. A lot of people don't realize, there are some people who do, like Bijik Productions, Bijik, that a word that everybody's saying now. Um, Bijik gets brought in because it was our childhood best friend who died in 2026. I mean, 2006, sorry. So a lot of people may not know this, but I had a very interesting childhood. Um, I met Joe Bijic, that was his nickname, Cunningham. I met him when I was 8 years old. Okay. I was 8, he was 42. So sounds weird. Yes, not anything weird going on there, but basically he was a little slow. He was a little slow. Would have taken you maybe a half hour of talking to him to pick up on it. Fully functioning, just a little slow. And his mother had passed away. He lived in Brooklyn, so he moved in with his brother and sister-in-law across the street from me. Okay, so I'm the dirtbag 8-year-old. Okay, sitting out there looking outside, and there's Joe just like he used to do in Brooklyn, sitting on the corner, standing on the corner, waving to cars. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Who is this fucking guy? Right? So naturally, I start to, throw rocks at him, shoot him with the pea shooter, and start fucking with this guy. And then it turns into a game, and then it turns into like, hey, Joe. And then it just turned into, I don't know, we just would ride bikes with him. And he was our age. Okay. Like mentally, like I was a little ahead of him, even at a young age, but we just always hung out with this guy. And as we grew up and we drank our first beers, so did he. When we smoked our first blunts, so did he. We started taking him to football parties. We started taking him to um, all the parties. We started taking him to basketball games. We took him to Monday Night Raw. He spent all of his time, with us, and he grew up with us. I would lie and say he was my uncle, and we would bring him to school. We would drive and bring him to school. And who's going to stop us? We're like, oh, it's Uncle Joe. He'd come in, and everyone knew who he was. He was very popular. Um, he was very popular with our entire high school, and he was our guy. We would hang out, we'd have a good time. And he died in 2006, and that was the big one for me. I've obviously lost people in my life, but I have a weird personality where, yes, I get sad, but it sounds fucked up, but I think it's just something with me. Like I was very close to my Aunt Vera, and when she died, I was sad. But it really didn't matter much in the day to day because I knew in my head I didn't see my aunt every day. When
Yeah.
Thanksgiving came and Christmas Eve came and the void was there, I was crushed. That's why when Joe died, I had a very hard time. I hung out with Joe nearly every day. He would come over. I'd come home from school. I'd come home from college. We'd hang out. We'd play video games. All my friends would come over. We'd all go party together, all with this old guy. That was our guy. Joe, take my Chrome Dino Air, go up to the beer distributor and go get us all the liquor we need. And he was so ingrained in our everyday of life that it was really hard for me to process because I was around this guy every day. We had inside jokes about this guy. Our whole way of speaking was built around this guy who all he wanted to do was, have fun with us, enjoy his life because the people he lived with, they didn't really do much for him. He got to
Hmm.
live with us, and he was there every single day. And when he died, I always said that I wanted some way to just immortalize him. And that's when this whole promoter thing came. I was like, you know what? Bijik Productions. Bijik Productions. I want everyone saying that. I want it everywhere. I want everyone to be saying Bijik and pronouncing it weird and doing all sorts of weird things. So me and my friend, my best friend Brian, who's my expediter, when people say Bijik and they pronounce it wrong, we laugh. Everyone else is like, "What is it? What's?" To us, it's a big inside joke, and it's a way to immortalize our best friend that passed away that I still miss to this day. Um, so that's why when people judge me in a certain aspect or a certain way or think I'm a certain way, I don't think they really know. They really don't know who I am. I'm going to war with people in industries for very specific reasons, but I don't think that they know me as a person
I,
at all.
I agree. Hey, I feel the exact same way. I can feel you on that, man. 100%.
So
People see me as the competitor. They don't see me as the person, which is completely fine because that's what I show y'all. I show y'all the competitor. When you go to my Instagram, you see
yeah,
Carolina the competitor. You don't see Jamal Williams the person, which that's how I wanted to be.
yeah. Me, I don't even know what I show sometimes. I lose track. But I think this has been great. I think this has been good. It gives key insights into um, not only just our stories, but uh, mindsets into the industry as a whole from a multiple different levels. So I think a lot of people will take from this. Do you have any final thoughts here?
Man, it was a great interview. I appreciate you having me. Hopefully, people can wipe the mirror a little bit and be able to look at themselves and figure out what changes they need to make and how they can be a better person or not be so judgmental. I think every I think everyone should, take a look in the mirror and analyze themselves before they try to analyze someone else. So
Yeah.
I'll leave it with
Yep.
that.
I agree. I agree. It's one of my big things. I'm definitely not perfect, and sometimes I stumble with that stuff as well. But every day I try to be better. I try to be better as a business owner. I try to be better as a homeowner. I try to be better as a father. I try to be better as a husband. I try to be better in all the endeavors that I do. I do put a lot of pressures on myself, and sometimes I do lose track of that human element, and that people may need certain things from me or they want certain things from me, and I get a little frustrated. I need to be better at that. I'm trying. I do get better, and then sometimes I get kicked back. No one's perfect. But I do think that the key message for me is that it is very important, I feel, for people to be getting better. And like you said, looking in the mirror, even when I make mistakes or I do something dickish, it's not that I'm not aware of it. It will haunt me. I'll think, like, oh, should I really have done that? Like, I'll start to think like shit, like that was a little too much. I think that looking in the mirror and having that type of look inward, I think it's very important, not just for the sport, not just for this little thing that we're involved in. I think it's important for life in general. And
Yep.
like you said, with some of our stories, you really don't know what people are going through at that moment. You're going through what you're going through. People are going through what they're going through. And then you cross because they may need something, you may need something. And then a lot of things can get lost in translation. I've learned that open communication and just like putting it all on the table, like, yo, I don't appreciate what you fucking said. If you got a problem with me or something, just say it. Just be direct, because sometimes it's when you don't address it, I feel like things get escalated in people's minds, when it could have just been solved through communication. So
Yep.
communication and looking inward is a big thing for me. But I think this was great. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I think a lot of people will take from this, and the best of luck to you. I support you. If you need anything ever, you can count on me. And yeah, we'll see what this year brings.
All right. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Same to
All right.
you too. Good luck with your coaching, promoting, all that stuff, man.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.